Hey, good afternoon, Facebook. Don Maeda here with Eli Tomac at his home in Corona, California. We're going to have a Facebook Live Q&A session with the Monster Energy Kawasaki rider. So Eli, out here in SoCal, I imagine your house in Colorado is under snow right now. But how long have you been out here, and how's things going with getting ready for next year?
I've been out here about a week, so normally it's about the time that we get snowed out in California, which is the last week of November, first week of December. So by December 1st, I'm always out here anyway. And yeah, it was a good off season at home. After Monster Cup, went to Colorado, rode there. And for me, this off season's been good, just because I haven't been having to really search for anything, and I've just been able to ride, and last year, obviously with everything being new and just learning the team and the motorcycle, I was kind of spinning my head in circles, and and it kind of showed no results when the season came around. So now I'm back to my old self, just riding, and so far so good.
Sometimes, like, even for, like, it was a new bike to you, but it was also a new bike to the team. So there was a double learning curve there going on, right? And so, like, this year it's second year.
Yeah, this is the second year with the bike, and then obviously with me, and I feel like we never really came around till the end of the season last year. Got a few podiums there at those last couple. Never won, but other than Daytona, but never won in the, if you want to call it, in the stadium. So we at least came around, and I'm in a spot now where I can just leave the bike alone and just go ride, and that's what's best.
So you think by the end of the season last year, you found the settings and setup that you were happy with?
Yeah, it was to where I was able to start just doing my thing and riding like I am now, and that showed podium. So now that I have all this time under my belt, and it even showed at Monster Cup too, I was able just to ride and go race. So it's exciting.
What was the steepest learning or adjustment curve for you when you switched to the Kawasaki? Because obviously early in the season you didn't look like your usual self that we were expecting.
The biggest thing for me was just finding comfort and feeling like myself. I don't know, it's like when you're on the bike and you know what you want, or if you're feeling it, you can go out there and do your thing. And for me, I was a little bit timid and hesitant, and just wasn't able to charge and do my thing. So I don't know what it was. I mean, it's just getting comfortable with the motorcycle, figuring out what works for you and what doesn't, and that just takes time.
It seemed like you did a lot of suspension testing and trying different stuff, and you showed up with different stuff. Sometimes you had different stuff in the race that you didn't have in practice. So what were the challenges of I guess, the air suspension, and what did you end up settling on, like, that you're happy with?
Yeah, so we started with an air fork, and that made it about halfway through the season, and then I ended up trying a spring fork. I don't know, in the past the air actually worked for me a little bit, and then this past year it didn't. So it works for certain guys and certain riders, and I even think certain chassis and certain motorcycles better than one or the other. So you got to find what suits your style and your need, and how it works for you, and how it reacts even throughout the Moto 2.
How was it going from the Honda, which is a short feeling wheelbase and a real quick handling bike, to the Kawi, which feels a little larger and more stable? Was it tough to get used to that? I mean, you spent your whole professional career on Hondas.
Yeah, that was, that's exactly what it is. The Kawi is a really stable bike, and it has a long front end, so it has stability, which is good, and it's obviously different than what I was on before. So, but I wouldn't really say it was. I don't know. It was just more of a learning for everything. I wouldn't blame it on the chassis itself at all, because I honestly thought I would maybe have some more potential with this one I'm currently on. So we'll see what we can bring this year.
Yeah. So you say that you're not testing much. So, like, the bike is pretty close to being the same as what it was last year?
It's the same as it was at Monster Cup.
Yeah.
You know, and before Monster Cup is when I did more testing and found some more settings that were suspension-wise that were more comfy for me. And then, but big hard chassis parts, yeah, it's probably pretty much the same as what I was on at the end of the season when I started getting those podiums. So it's nice to be able to leave that stuff alone and just get used to it and ride.
Did you learn things from outdoor testing that you applied to the Supercross bike too?
Not a whole lot. Surprisingly, that stuff's pretty similar for your triple clamps and that kind of thing. You know, that once again was a process too, with suspension and getting comfortable. It's crazy. Like, if it seems like you can be a podium guy, you know, if you're a podium guy, but to go out there and win, you have to be a podium guy and you have to be dialed in with your bike, and everything has to be working. And it kind of shows you, like when Roxon goes out there and beats his 20 motos in a row, like, he's dialed in, you know. And even the previous year before that, when I won those 5 motos in a row, you know, I was like in the zone and there was nothing that could be stopped. So that's the feeling you want to get to.
Yeah. Going back to that, those motos in a row, what did that feel like? I mean, you showed up at the line, you knew you were going to win.
Yeah, it was easy because, I don't know, it was just easy. I could do whatever I wanted. I didn't have anything stopping me or slowing me down. I got good starts, and I don't know. It was something that was pretty cool feeling.
Yeah. So, what do you think the missing tiny little ingredient is right now to get back to that point?
For one, it's being totally healthy. You know, not having any weakness with my shoulders at all, or just having that base underneath me again. I need that. And being one with the motorcycle and having the days where I don't worry about the bike and I can go out there and just do my thing. But I don't know, you gotta, when you get in the zone, you get in the zone, and but you gotta have that comfort level with the motorcycle to get there.
So are you, obviously, time under your belt, you're more comfortable with the bike now? Are you completely happy with it now?
Yeah, I'm plenty happy, and I really think that my shoulders were still pretty weak last year at the beginning of the Supercross, comparing it now to what I feel at the track here. So, I think that had some little tweaks in there in the program as to even being comfortable on the bike and being a little bit timid. It was myself and my health. So that took a while to build that strength back.
Where does a weak shoulder affect you on the track? Is it more than just like the whoops or something? Is it mental too? Like, you're like, oh,
it's
man.
mental. It's a little bit of everything, and it affects your aggression on how hard you charge, or how you commit into a whoop section, or just how you're riding around the track. The best thing you can do is not think about any of that. And last year at the end of the day, it would still get fatigued. I'd feel my left rotator cuff way more than a normal day of riding should feel like. So at this point, I don't get that anymore, so that's nice.
Yeah. So you're in your second year as a 450 dude. You're entering your, I guess,
as a
first,
Kawasaki guy.
Yeah, second as a Kawasaki guy,
Yeah.
but 2.5 as a 450 guy. Like, is the pressure or the demands placed on a guy in the premier class greater than the 250 class?
It's different pressure, because when you're in the 250 class, you're at a point where you're trying to prove yourself and you're trying to get yourself up to this 450 level. And then, I feel like at the 250 class, you're trying to get something, and you're trying to get that carrot. And it's the same thing in the 450 class. You obviously want to go out there and win, but well, I would call it the same, because you got to go out there and put in results to get a ride. So that's plain and simple. So it's just different. I mean, the only thing that's different about the 450 class is there's a lot of good guys. There's 10 instead of 3, say in the Supercross race. Yeah. And and we do longer motos, and it's just all of the best guys going at it.
So talk about nationals a little bit. I mean, you were fast outdoors, and I mean, then that translated into complete domination of the United States rounds of the MXGP series. Did the bike suit you immediately better outdoors?
It did, but even so, I made changes again. It was either the last round of the AMA series or the going into Charlotte. I even made a little change here at Glen Helen that was even better. So I was just steadily improving my motorcycle and the feel of everything, throughout. So yeah, my last change at Glen Helen was the best I've ridden all year. I think it was the best I rode all year outdoors too.
Yeah, I mean, it was just like
the start wasn't good, but I was able to ride, do my thing, so it was good.
What's that like, racing against guys that you don't normally race against? And then, are you kind of like, oh, dude, that's Cairoli, the guy you see in the magazines? But I mean, it's got to be kind of interesting and fun.
It is. It's like, it's just something new, Like when you race the AMA stuff, you're used to seeing the same name and the same guys every week. So, I enjoyed it. I honestly enjoyed it. I enjoy how we went straight into it after the outdoor series, but looking back now, it wasn't that big of a deal, and I had fun doing it. And then back to the guys, it's cool just racing everyone in the world, because obviously raced the AMA guys, and I went and raced the European guys, so it's cool to, you get to race everyone.
Yeah. Wow. What was it like with the different race program? I mean, the qualifying or actually, I regress. Did you go out there and hammer those motos like you do a national, or did you do the European way?
I went into it the same way as I did national, and they're honestly, they don't really do anything much different than us either. I thought it was pretty close to the same. I think maybe it's the new age stuff is you go out there and sprint the whole moto literally. So maybe back in the day they used to pace, but now it's pretty much wide open from the beginning. Yeah, it's basically the same thing.
Yeah. Of all the guys on MXGP, was there anyone that impressed you, or you kind of were like, whoa, that guy's pretty good?
Well, going back to, surprising stuff was how fast they were in qualifying. That's one thing that was a little bit different, is there was a lot of fast guys in qualifying that weren't there in the moto. There were 3 or 4 guys that, I think I qualified maybe 3rd or 4th there the first day at Glen Helen, and the second day I think I got second. But that second day, when I got second place in qualifying, I was like, there's no way that lap's getting beat, and it was by Van Horbeck.
Yeah.
So that was surprising, was actually their 1 lap qualifying speed. They did the same thing in Charlotte too.
So when you're qualifying like that, the 1 lap thing, do you go out and just ride and get loose and say, all right, this is the heater right now, and you kind of space out where the dudes are so no one gets in your way?
Yeah, you have to put a gap to yourself, or you try to watch, before you cross that line.
Yeah.
But you never hardly ever get a full clear lap. You always deal with someone else that's trying to get that lap in, or another guy that's having a slow lap. And a lot of times they'll get in the way, and it pisses everyone off, but it is what it is. Everyone's got a level playing field. It's just sometimes you get good luck, and sometimes you don't that way.
Yeah. So after the 2 MXGPs, you obviously said, hey, I need some time off, time to myself. What did you do right after? Did you just put your motorcycles away and not look at them for a few weeks?
Did exactly that after the GP.
Did you vanish into the hills of Colorado with your camo?
I did. Went in the hills for a little bit. I just needed some time off. We were going, obviously, from the first weekend in January all the way through that, those GPs go well into September. So I just needed time off.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then obviously, but by the time you know it, you're back in California getting ready for Monster Cup.
Yeah, back to the grind, huh?
Yeah.
Supercross grind. Is it easy to go straight back into Supercross, or is it just kind of rusty a little bit, or is it?
The hardest part for me when you go back on a Subi track is the how high your heart rate goes. It's a lot different. Like moto, it's more of endurance, which it actually is. but soupy. It spikes your heart rate. Those first couple weeks, my heart rate's through the roof. And then after that though, it does go down throughout the motos. But that first couple weeks, it's funny. I'm always high on my heart rate.
Is it because it's there's nowhere to rest on the track and it's just all going? High anxiety, or?
I think it's a little bit of both. I think it's a little bit of nerves, and then it's just like there is no break. You're just going.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, back to this time off. I mean, I know you're a big bow hunter and everything.
Mm-hmm.
Is that kind of what you did in the break?
Yeah. I went elk hunting.
Yeah.
Yep.
And worked on your tracks, I imagine. I mean.
Yeah. I mean, shoot. I mean, time off was literally anything. We did some fishing, some hunting. That's just the time of year, and well, I don't even know what else we did, but it's just time off from the airports and getting on the airplane and going to the race on that next weekend. So anything really.
Yeah, the travel is definitely the worst part about your career, right?
Yeah, by far the worst thing about us is the airplanes and in the hotel and racing Saturday night, getting up Sunday morning, going back home totally worked, and then trying to get back in the groove in the middle of the week, and then flying out Friday or Thursday night. So travel's the gnarliest part.
So right now you're here in your home in California, and you obviously still have a residence in Colorado. What is your plan for living here, living there during Supercross?
I'm in California till about the end of February. It just, honestly, I could be back home in the middle of February if it's warm enough in Colorado. I only spend the time here that I need. You want to be here at the beginning of the season, because if you need to make any changes right away, obviously everyone's based here. So, and Colorado, you're snowed out. So I'll be here till middle of February, end of February.
Cool. All right, so a lot of people are watching this video right now and commenting, and there's a lot of Eli's, you rock, and we love you. But so I'll take a couple good questions. Guy Lima from Brazil says, do you think that the tracks have had the same evolution that 454 strokes have, or are they too small? Or
that actually is a good question. 450s nowadays, they're so powerful. I think 450s themselves, I don't know if you can really build a track to them, because right now we can already jump 80 feet out of a corner in first gear if you wanted. So I think what is coming is, what I've heard is the main events are going to be timed now. So that'll be better, being a set time. So the tracks themselves, won't. Well, there's tracks that are really short and tracks that are longer, and then they try to manipulate the track to get within this time window. But then they'll throw a goofy wall jump in or take a section out, and that kind of is a bummer as a rider. So it'll be nice if they can just leave the tracks the way they are, and we can, who cares if it's a 43-second or a 55-second lap time? We can just go do our thing. So, but going back to the 450, I don't know if you can really do anything about it. They're so powerful and gnarly already. Yeah. And that's one thing that's a bummer about them is now I feel like the racing everything's all about the start, really. I mean, I'm not saying I'm totally, I don't know, I need to get better at myself, but in Supercross, if you're not top 3, you can almost forget about it now, And even the days of going outside and railing a turn and going seat mounts triple or getting an extra, jump in are kind of gone, because now you can go inside, roll, double. And the 450 so fast, you can get up to speed so quick. There's no benefit to going outside and railing a turn, as where in the past, if you had that corner speed on a 252 stroke or a 125, it made something up. And it's a bummer that way, because it takes away some of the pure skill of it, There was even a line like that at Monster Cup, where in practice I did a big 333, and ended up being slower than going inside tight in the corner and going double and then triple. But by the time you get up to speed, the 450, I mean, I don't know what I'm saying here, but the 450 gets up to speed so fast, there's no benefit to railing a turn and going outside and doing a big combo anymore, because they're just so fast. Yeah. So that's the bad thing about 450s and 4 strokes, period.
That, and then You're kind of like the big combo guy.
Yeah, because I like to do those big combos. You know, everything now is getting tight and it's getting inside, and you know, if you're not top 5, you can kind of forget about it. So that way, it's a bummer. And I think if they want to make racing better, I think there should be a bigger benefit to qualifying. So I think like in the GPs, if you're fastest qualifier, you know, inside gate is the shortest and the straightest to the first corner.
Mm-hmm.
So in that situation, you do have the good guys out front, and that's what everyone's there to see. I mean, I think everyone's there to see that. But at the same time, yes, you want it fair, but at the end of the day, the good guys are going to be at the front at the end of the race anyway. But if you can get everyone there battling right away, it could be a good thing.
Okay, so Trevor Watson says, hey, nice putting greens. What's your golf handicap?
My golf handicap used to be pretty good. I used to be a low 80s guy. But ever since I jacked my shoulders, I haven't played nearly as much. I used to go 3 or 4 days a week. After training or after moto, you know, I'd just go hit the range or go play 9 holes, and I'll still play a little bit, but not as much as I used to, which kind of sucks because my shoulders kind of aren't what they used to be.
Golf is tough when your shoulders are no good.
Yeah, they've gotten a lot better, but the first year, they were terrible.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so Tyler Scroggin says, have you had a chance to hit the hills in Southern California, like after the rains, you know?
No, I haven't been out there yet. Once again, it's like when I have off time, it's like, I don't know, it's tough. I'm sure on one of those days we get rained out, maybe JG will take us out there because I know he knows where to go.
Yeah, he goes big.
Yep.
So, this is kind of funny. Thomas dude, I can't. Liebhartley. He says, are you going to get a different style of riding kit every round, or are you going to wear the same one over and over again? So, like, was that a superstition thing for you?
No.
Like,
no, I mean, with sponsors, there's certain colors that I can only wear.
Really? Does Cowie have a green stipulation?
It's more Kawasaki and Monster and even Alpine Star. You know, they all went their certain color and their certain logo here and all that. So kind of would be nice if there's more freedom, but there's not.
Green's my favorite color.
Yeah.
I get all stoked when I see you have signature green boots and stuff.
Yeah.
But there's some guys moving up to the 450 class, Cooper Webb being the most notable. What are your thoughts about guys like Cooper? I mean, Tara Belade asked that. But what are your thoughts about your competition this year?
Yeah, for new guys, I mean, for Cooper, I obviously was in his shoes at one point, and the first year 450 is never an easy thing. You don't really know what to expect. I mean, you know, obviously he is going to have speed and he's going to be there, but it's a learning year. I mean, who knows? Maybe he will come out and kill it, but there's a big learning curve between 250 and 450. Even just learning the way a 450 is for bikes up. Bikes up's a lot more important on a 450 than it is a 250. So you got to know your bike, and you know, plus you got to make it through that 17 rounds. And then the rest of the guys, it's just, I think you kind of expect the typical of Roxon and Dungey and I don't know. There's a handful of guys, you know.
Marvin been doing good in the off season.
You can't put anyone away, you know, before Anaheim won. So I think you kind of know who the heaviest hitters are, and that's Dungey and Roxon.
Yeah.
Period.
Okay. So training wise, I'm sure you're doing weights and stuff, strengthening your shoulder, and with your father's background and everything, I'm assuming cycling is still a huge part of your program. Yeah, cycling and obviously this gym work. You know, mix it all in there. You know, in motocross, you don't want to be the big, super yoked guy, but at the same time, you want to have that strength to be able to have aggression and even protect yourself in a crash. So you have to have a little bit of everything. Yeah, I mean, you're just looking at it, you're physically so much like stronger looking than you were when you're on 250 even. Yeah. Is it something you consciously do, build up muscle to be stronger for the 450 or to bounce off the ground a little bit better?
Yeah, I mean you don't want to be a little guy on a 450. It's too much power, and they can bite you in a hurry.
Yeah.
So it's better to be a little bit, I wouldn't say thicker, but just more built on a 450.
Mm-hmm.
And 450, it's going to tow you around. It's not like a 250 where you have to shed that weight.
Yeah. So I was creeping on your bicycles in your garage, and are you sponsored by Trek now? Or
No sponsorships.
How does
I just ride what I ride.
Yeah. And then I know there's a Tomac cross bike in there, and your dad,
Yep.
that was your dad's brand, right?
Yeah, my dad had that going for a little bit.
So is that like a collector's item in there right now?
Pretty much. That was kind of one of a kind.
Was it?
There's a couple, but
I think I saw him motoring down by the test tracks a few years ago on that, and I was like, what are those bars? Because I didn't know what a cross bike was.
drop bars, yeah.
Yeah. So, okay, so me being curious, you live here, like Waze said you're 1.7 miles away from me, so where do you ride in the hills up here?
There's a lot of good fire roads actually just right behind us here. So
Bedford. Bedford's horrible.
Yeah. There's honestly some good climbing out here if you want to ride mountain bikes. You'd be surprised. To me, it's always surprising when you see a million people in the Inland Empire, and you see like 2 guys up here on the hill in the National Forest. So, if you have to get out here, there are trails and there are roads that you can go ride. So it actually works out.
Mm-hmm. So I was asking you about like if you're sponsored by them or whatnot, but you have or had a cool like auto sponsor last year, right? Or do you have that this year?
Not this year.
All right, I like the big truck you drove up in. All right, well, I'm just putting my foot in my mouth here, so I'll take a reader question. Bryce Clausen says, hey, tell us about Bud's Creek and helping Ronnie. That was awesome sportsmanship. What was that about?
Yeah, Bud's, I think it was second moto, came around this option turn, and it was my crash. I don't know, I hit an edge. It was the first lap, so it was kind of chaos. Hit an edge, bars twitched, ripped out of my hands, went over the bars flying. Bike was in the middle of the track, and I was getting up standing. Obviously, first lap, you got to wait for everyone to come by because there's 50 million guys coming by, and Ronnie ended up hitting my bike and going over as well. And as I'm standing there, because he was middle of the pack also, so there was guys still coming, and he's off the side trapped under his bike. So, I went and helped him. It looked like it was either the tire was on him or the pipe could have been burning him. So I was like, man, if I was in that situation, I would sure hope if there was a guy right there, he'd help me too. So just being a good guy and just being a human.
Cool. Well, hey, Eli, thank you for your time. It's getting cold out here, man.
It's chilly. I'm almost shivering.
Cold in California, but yeah, we're really looking forward to seeing you at Anaheim 1. And I guess, is there any changes? I mean, you're saying the bike's same sponsors.
Yeah, it's all pretty much the same. Trying to think. No, I've left the bike since Monster Cup. That's what's been nice, just being able to ride. So it's gonna be it'll be different this year. It'll be better.
Cool. See you at the front of the pack, top of the
yeah.
podium.
Heck yeah.
Cool. Thank you.
See you guys.